That's what I think I read. But that was the proposal. There is more left in the fund in that, but the $10,000 was the request.
And the way I understood it, that 10,000 was coming from the Silvernail monies that were left over. Is that correct, right?
That's correct.
So there wasn't any added either undesignated funds or anything from the town that way, correct?
That's correct.
Rich, did you have anything to add?
Sorry. The committee voted unanimously to support this. You should have all received some emails from a couple businesses, Meg Kay from Port of Call and Diane Stinson from Huckleberries. Previously, with all the restaurants open during the summer and spring, a lot of the money tended to go that way. We're going to have a TV commercial campaign coming up. We will, if the council supports the Bucks program, we'll have that added to the holiday commercials that'll run from November 23rd through the end of the year to help promote it as well. But Brooks Online, if anyone has any further questions, it is a lot of work, but the program was highly, highly successful, and a lot of people have talked about it in nothing but a positive manner.
Yeah, I'm here and very happy to answer questions if people have them. But we are, willing and prepared to launch round 2. The current coupons that we sold in the spring expire on October 31st. So we would then begin selling the second round the first week in November, and would certainly try our best to match this allocation with additional fundraising to build that matching fund to $20,000.
Any questions? I assume we'll see resolve on this probably the next meeting, Sue?
The 12th, yes.
If anybody wants to, folks can think about it. I'm sure we'll get some more email comments and suggestions from folks that we've had. So, but if there's no further questions for right now, thank you, Brooke. Rich?
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
The next item is request for proposal for replacement of 11 main floats at the marina. Richard?
Yes. The marina floats are roughly 24 years old. We had a storm that recently came up. Typically, if a storm comes out of the southeast, we have nothing to worry about. This last storm happened to be during a extremely high tide and was directly out of the south. And a couple of the floats, main floats that are hooked to the stanchions, the cement cinder blocks, got destroyed. We've been able to secure them with some 2x10x20s. Not sure what's going to happen when we take them out of the water. They're fragile. The town crew, the marina crew, everybody came together as a team to make sure that there was no damage anywhere else. It was maintained to those floats. We don't have the time. We don't have the space to be able to do this on our own accord or to store them. So what we'd like to do is put out an RFP to see if we can find someone, preferably local, who can build these floats to our specs, and that'll free the guys up to be able to do some of the smaller floats that need to be replaced. And our harbor master, Mike Ormsby's on with us as well if anyone has any other questions.
All right, thanks. Any questions from anybody? Does this oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, is this also going to increase our capacity there by doing, or is this just a replacement of what's there?
This is a replacement for what's there. These are your main floats. Your main floats, this is where people will come up to get gas and the diesel. The diesel will be completed here within a few weeks. It's what keeps the marina together. Without the main docks, you do not have a marina. So in the past, we only had, and the guys, so that you know, they are building one of the floats themselves. We had already ordered the material. We were only expecting to fix one, but that storm did its toll on the rest. So we can't store those and make those big ones on our own. We just don't have the manpower, nor the time, or the space to do it, quite honestly. We will continue to improve the finger floats, as we've already started. We've had rave reviews about those. But the whole system is one. We're simply asking for the main floats, and then we can handle the rest from there.
Okay.
And to prevent this from happening in the future, you have to understand we have 2 stanchions and 1 dolphin. And the dolphin's headed in the direction of the town office. There's a huge gap between that dolphin and stanchion, and the engineer who's working on the fishing pier engineering, we have him looking into an extra dolphin for the marina for us as well, so that way that situation won't happen again. Because when the stanchions go underwater, it bends the dock up, and with nothing there to brace it and that huge gap in between, that's what caused the issue. And year after year after year of that happening, it was bound to happen.
Sue, do you have something? I think I cut you off.
I just was going to say that this request is to put it out to bid to see what kind of a cost that comes back. But I want to tell you ahead of time that depending on the cost, it may be necessary for the marina to borrow, so to speak, from the town with an annual repayment from the marina operations to the town for that, because this likely will exceed the amount of money that the marina has been able to build up since 2014 in order to do this. But this is not an unusual, this isn't something that we haven't talked about before, that if the marina needed to borrow, that there would be a repayment from marina funds to the town for whatever was borrowed for its infrastructure needs over and above what the marina has been able to generate for its own fund balance, which I don't believe will be sufficient to cover. This is a big project.
Sure. Michael, do you have anything to add?
Yes. Building the docks as they are now, we'd like to put a program together in the future for a 20-year replacement. So we think that 20 years is a good amount of time, and these docks are older than that. If the Dolphin had been there, we probably wouldn't have broke the docks, but which does help a lot. But they need to be rebuilt. They're getting very tired. The wood is completely demoisturized, and even when you screws into it, the holding power is not really there. So it's time.
Fair enough. Danny?
So if they come in and do a second dolphin, is that going to be enough? Like, we have somebody coming in to do dolphins for the fishing pier. Would 2 be enough to cover that?
Yes, I think the one at the marina, if we had one more dolphin, we'd be fine. Now, if we expand the marina beyond, we might need something else. But for now, just one more dolphin would solve our issues. The stanchions hold really well if the tide is, a regular high tide or lower, because it's actually pushing the docks against the stanchion, which is holding it against the land. But when the tide rises so that the stanchion itself is above the attachment on the land, there's really not much holding it back if all the boats are trying to push it in with wind. So it actually buckled the dock right up in the air, and the stanchion went way up in the air, and that was our problem. With the Dolphin at the end of sea docks, that won't happen.
Any other questions?
And just to understand, Mr. Mayor, we have expanded over the last 2 years the main docks. That's why we have extra, and it has generated revenue.
Sure. Is everybody okay with Rich and the town manager going out to get an RFP and bring that information back to us? That's a no cost issue. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Item D is request to use TIF funds to finish funding for Complete Streets project, Main Street Bucksport. Economic Development Committee recommends approval.
It's actually museum in the streets. At that first email, the first agenda, it's my error. It should be museum in the streets, not complete streets. My apologies. The second agenda was correct. The first one was wrong.
Yep.
And Mr.
Mark,
Mayor-
you want to lead this off, or Brooke? I don't care, whichever. Brooke, maybe you can lead it off, because you had the presentation that was well presented. So.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. I'm looking at a different screen, so I have the numbers. But Main Street Bucksport started looking for funding to complete a museum in the streets project, which is a self-guided historical walking tour. You've probably seen them, or maybe seen them in other communities. They're produced actually by a Maine-based company, although they exist all over the world. And essentially what you do is you make these very nicely designed signs using historical images from the Historical Society, who we've been working with on this for about a year and a half now. And you have one large interpretive sign, which shows where the 15 smaller signs are placed throughout the village district. People can then walk around and learn more about the history of the community. So the overall price for this project is just over $18,000, $18,100. We have to date, by grant funding and some community donations and sponsorships, raised about $14,500, and we'd really like to finish the project. We need about $3,500 to do that. We had initially set a goal of having this project done this year for Maine's bicentennial, but things stalled out significantly in the spring because of the pandemic, and we thought it was worth asking the town if they were willing to help us close this gap, considering we're very close. The signs would then be created and constructed over the winter and installed in the spring. Members of the Historical Society spent a pretty significant amount of time last summer determining the story of Bucksport that they would like to tell, and we worked with Julia Gray, who is an Orland resident but is an archivist and museum consultant. So she really helped the Historical Society really think about how to tell the story of the community and what sites and themes to highlight. So all of that planning work is really done. It's basically a matter now of constructing the signs and having them installed. So we're about $3,500 shy of our goal, and
I'll let Richard take it over from here.
Yeah.
He can the gas for us.
The Community and Economic Development Committee also took this on Monday night at our meeting and was in full support. This is a great economic development tool. There's towns around us that have this, and with the current situation with COVID, we believe that this would be something that people can do at any time of the year, get people walking our streets, walking our downtown, get them off the waterfront, within reason. And I'd just like to look with the rising cost of materials, just to make sure if this does come in a little over, just to make sure that we do cover the remaining cost of that project with the existing TIF. This would not come from the whole Oceans TIF money. This would be the existing TIF that we have.
Okay. Any questions? Comments? I believe.
Are we gonna?
Danny? Yep, Danny.
Are we gonna see a mock-up of the art? Like, is there gonna be a?
yeah, I can send you. So their signs are really consistent in their design. They all have a very similar look, and I have images of those that I would be happy to send to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume if looks like we're at least able to bring this forward for a resolve at our next meeting, and we can have some more discussion, and maybe everybody get a chance to see the mock-ups. And I know in Castine there are a lot of older signs, and I think most of them are wood, but over the last few years they've really got a lot of use. You see people walking through town all the time, just looking at the signs and the history. So All right. Thank you again, Brooke. Next item, November and December council meetings, Mayor Stewart. So when I was looking at the calendar and realized that we're Christmas and Thanksgiving both fall on our or Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving fall on the fourth Thursday of each month, we're going to have one meeting per month. We've done that in the past. We've been fine with it. I just want to let folks know that, we're going to go a month or so. We do have the ability, if we do have something pop up, we can call a special meeting. But if everybody is okay, we will just keep it at the one meeting per month for November and December. And if something does pop up, we can certainly pivot if we need to.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay? Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Item 8 is agenda items. The only agenda item we have is to approve Resolve 2021-26 to approve the sewer commitment for July 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2020 for the quarter in the amount of $244,413.46. How would the council like to proceed?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Jacob?
Approve.
Morrison,
Approve.
Smith,
Approve?
Hugh Stewart,
Approve?
Van Ormsby,
Approve.
Ben,
Approve.
Approve.
oh, did I hear you?
Nope.
Okay,
Approve.
thank you.
I do need signatures on that when anyone has a chance to come into the office, and it'll be at the front counter.
Thank you. Item 9 is resignations, appointments, assignments, and elections. Obviously, we have an election coming up, but I don't believe we have anything else. Just a reminder for folks to go out and vote. There's obviously with all the election stuff going on, but we also have a couple issues, town issues that people want to vote on too. So, Jake, what did you say the number was? I saw it in the paper, or I saw online something. We've had over 1,100 absentee ballot requests.
Now we're close to 1,200. And we've received over 900 of them back. So there's still about 150 out there that we haven't received yet. So.
And when do we need those back by, or when should they be back by?
Technically, we need them by 8 p.m. on election day, but the sooner the better.
Okay.
Easier on-
But they can turn them in up until the polls close, correct?
Okay. Okay.
Item 10 is approval of quick claims, discharges, and deeds. I don't believe we have any. Item 11 is the town manager report. Sue?
Yes. So I'm happy to report that the USDA has agreed to abate the interest penalty on the 5 Mount Olive Heights property, and is working through an internal process that they have to do that and release the deed. And once that is completed, Ms. Hollowell can sell the property, pay off the local mortgage and the town's tax and sewer bills, and retain the balance for herself. I will add that this has been a process, but persistence in the end pays off, and they have agreed to do that. But I have also received an estimate for demolition of the building and the cleanup of the property, which was a requirement for part of USDA's review of this. And if the town were to have the demolition and cleanup done, it would make the property a lot more marketable, and we would not be chasing somebody that purchased a property to then take down the building, etc., which is going to be a requirement due to the state of it. The cost of the demolition, if we contracted to have that done, could be put as a lien on this property, and the sale of it would satisfy the lien and then the mortgage and the taxes. The estimate that we received was $11,900 for demolition, removal, and making the site buildable, I guess is the best way to phrase it. But which would bring the total outstanding on the property to about $24,000. But a buildable in-town lot served by water and sewer in a desirable neighborhood should garner more than $24,000. I would think that wouldn't be unreasonable, and that would make this whole, remove this obligations from Ms. Hollowell, and anything over and above that amount would go back to her. I didn't put a resolve on. I would like you to think about it, and perhaps at the next meeting we can talk about whether the council would be willing to front this demolition and then have the lot get marketed, just so that it wasn't a case of it getting sold with a building that needs to come down, and then Luke being the one who's chasing that to happen after a sale, which may or may not be successful. And then next is an update on the baseball field wall. We had the engineer here this week to look at drainage issues, but following that meeting, Rich received an email from the water department with a map that shows the location of a 12-inch water main that goes across the baseball field along with a wastewater line. It's a 12-inch water main. It's an original water main, so it's an old one, and it's estimated to be at about 25 feet in depth. Because of the pitch needed to get to the next place it goes. To cut to the chase, it makes anything from second base in not a buildable area, because you would be building on or over water and wastewater piping, which would not be advisable. And we already have some examples of that in town. I'd really not like to add any more to it. So this reduces the size of available construction if you were to think about doing something other than a baseball field there. This significantly reduces the size of what would be available for construction. And I only tell you this, there's another wall committee meeting right before the next council meeting, and this is more information for you to have as you consider sort of how to move forward. But this is significant, and the relocation of those lines would be extremely expensive. At that depth and at that age, it would be 6 places and a number in terms of the cost of that kind of a relocation. As Jacob has said, the last full day that absentee ballots are available for the town for in-person or take-it-with-you voting is Thursday, October 29th. However, the town office will be open for absentee balloting on Friday, October 30th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And if you picked up or requested that an absentee ballot be sent to you, you can return it at any time prior to election by putting it in our brand new secure ballot box out front that's attached to the wall next to the front door that says it's for absentee ballots. Make sure everyone signs it before they put it in, but we received that from the state. That was delivered yesterday and installed today, so that secure ballot box for absentees is now on the outside of the town office. And as Jacob said, we've had 1,180, almost 1,200 absentee ballot requests, which is 29.5, very close to 30% of our registered voters have requested an absentee ballot. At the Bucksport Service Network meeting today, which is a meeting that we have monthly with Home and Bucksport Community Concerns and Bucksport Bay Healthy Communities and Public Health Nursing. There's a range of providers that get together. But at that meeting today, there was a discussion about problems that seniors are having that don't qualify for main care in getting rides to medical or dental appointments. Home has had, they had a one-year pilot program that helped meet that need, but they weren't able to continue that because of regulatory requirements that they would have had to meet in order to be a transportation provider. Down East Community Partners provides these kind of rides for people who qualify for main care, but and they have the capacity to do it for non-Medicare, non-main care eligible people too, but not the funding. And 2 years ago, the town budgeted $5,000 for transportation needs beyond the bus taxi arrangement that we have in Bucksport right now. And according to Down East Community Partners, that funding would provide approximately 100 rides for seniors to medical or dental appointments. And I think it would be a very good utilization of that money because it can help to address the gap that's left by the reduction in rides available through the local CARES program, which is how many people solved that problem, was by calling CARES to get a ride. The volunteer pool is almost non-existent for them now. The pandemic has made it worse, but it was declining before that happened. The Home program, which served many of these individuals, had 96 trips in a year that they provided. Part of the need for trips has been helped, at least for the specialist side, because the health center has set up a site at the health center where people who need to see specialists can go and have a telemedicine visit with a specialist in another location, Bangor, Portland, whatever. The health center, through the service network that we have, has set that up. But I'm asking the council and would like to have a resolve on the next meeting, consider utilizing that $5,000 to provide to Down East Community Partners so that they can provide rides to our seniors who aren't main care covered, are out of luck when it comes to that for medical or dental appointments. And the other thing that we learned today is that Down East Community Partners is restarting there was a monthly trip to Bangor that they provided for seniors, and that was stopped during COVID. That's restarting in November. And not only are they going to do a trip to Bangor, but they're also going to be adding a trip monthly to Ellsworth, which has been a request through the seniors program for a while too. Our code enforcement officer, Luke Cavelli, informed me that no formal court action has been taken on the Upper Long Pond Road issue that we talked about at the last meeting. The property owner vacated the property and took his dogs with him. And at this time, it appears he's attempting to comply with the orders that Luke has issued, and so he's holding off on court involvement. If that situation changes, the property owner is aware that the council has approved it moving forward if necessary, and if he does, then Luke will not hesitate to do so. But there's been some voluntary compliance, and the biggest part of the issue, removing the animals in the camper, has been accomplished. And the trunk or treat at Bucksport High School, which you discussed at your last meeting, Public Safety Director Gagan asked me to let you know that he has reviewed the plan. It is complete. it will be well organized and well supervised, and it's a go from the public safety perspective. And on another matter, the Nason parking lot construction is happening now. They have started construction on the parking lot on the former Nason lot. November 12th is going to be the leaf pickup day in the downtown area. Our annual Public Works collection for the leaves is going to be November 12th, the day after Veterans Day. And finally, we're in the middle of our final audit. We had our pre-audit some time ago. Our final audit is later than usual, not because of us, but because of our auditor's schedule has not allowed them to. This is an entirely remote audit. They provide us with lists, and we scan and send, and their schedule has been slowed down considerably because of how they're having to perform these audits. But in an interview that I had with our auditor yesterday, she said that she was very pleased to see that Bucksport, unlike many of their other communities, didn't seem to be floundering through this COVID issue, that we had continued, our records were complete and done, and it was a great meeting. Actually, and I know audits are boring, but for people like me, audits are really exciting. And when auditors tell you that you're doing a good job, I am like, oh yes, that's exactly what I want to know. But what I really want to do is thank all my staff, because the reason we get really good audits is because we have front office staff who are doing really good work, and the attention that they pay to detail makes a difference when people like auditors show up to see what you're doing. So I just want you to, when you see them, thank them. They're doing a really good job for this community, and it shows at times like this when we get accolades from auditors. Auditors aren't known for passing out good news. They did in this case. And then if you would, the only thing I would ask is if you would give me a direction on this, the idea of this $5,000 for the senior rides to medical appointments, whether it's okay to put that on the next agenda for consideration.
Everybody okay with that? Put it on as a resolve. We can have a further discussion if we need to. All right, there you go, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Sue on any of that? Next is set public hearings or hold public hearings, approval of any license or permits. I don't believe we have any. Items not on the agenda for council of the public. Open it up for anything that's not on the agenda. Mark?
Yeah, Peter, I just had one thing. We suggested that RFP, so do we need to do anything to move that forward for the solar, for the landfill?
I'll put that on the 12th for the council to put allow the solar committee to put out an RFP. It's just under discussion. It's not a resolve, but it's generally under a discussion item that the council then.
Okay.
Anything from the public, Sue? We'll just, again, remind somebody if they have anything they want to talk about, they can call or email. Anybody else? Eddie, you got something?
Yeah, just Sue, as far as the water line under the field, is it in bad condition? I know it's old, but what's the state of it? Is it something we should hit sooner than later, or worry about this in January with a 25-foot frozen pipe or broken pipe?
Well, according to Chris Remick, who sent it, it's an original water line, because the water lines are not our water lines. The water lines are the water company's water lines. So somebody's phone might ring, but it probably won't be mine. It'll be the water company's. But he didn't say it was in bad shape. He said it was an original line, and it had been buried very deep. But I think it's cast iron, which is what the one under the church is, under the Quonset hut. That's cast iron too. but he didn't say it was in bad shape. He just said it was old, and that he cautioned locating anything over it because at the time that it needed attention, it would be an impossibility practically to do that.
Okay.
Then you would be running a new line. You'd be capping on each end and going around, which would, I can't even think about what that would cost. But
Maybe, Ed, when you have your meeting on the 12th, maybe we could get somebody from the water company to show up at that meeting just to give some insight on what that is. And
Yeah, just find out what it feeds too, because that, if anything ever happened, what a mess that would be.
so I think Sue or Rich, can one of you folks reach out to them just to see if they could be there for that? Appreciate it.
yes.
Anybody else have anything they want to talk about, or? Next item is the baseball field wall committee. Set that up for 6 o'clock on the 12th. Do we need any other committee meetings? I don't believe so. And like I said, that will be our only meeting in November, and we could always, like I said, pivot if we have to. So, if there's nothing else, item 15 is adjournment. Take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Have a great night.
Good night.
Good luck,
Make sure
Kathy.
everybody gets out and votes.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good luck.
Thank you.